on an island. McDuffie coaster.
What it mean to be the best? Riding foes, feeling unimpressed. Make me reminisce, throwing bows, bend the corner, set my mind up on the goal. All I know is stay down, bad, I'm the goal. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Not ain't no debate. Yeah. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Not ain't no debate. Yeah. I ain't gotta say much. Know the boy got a touch. Another win for the rush. Another win for the rush. See me once and got a crush. See you twice and that's enough. Get the ring sized up.
Hello. Welcome in to Tell the Truth. Great to see it. Once again, the Chiefs have secured the number one seed by week through the wild card, as well as home field advantage throughout the entirety of the AFC playoffs. The Arrowhead Invitational, after being a traveling show last year, is now back where it belongs. And I'm happy to say it. What's up, everybody?
Bad.
I'm DMac.
Is it January?
I was trying to see, all the other seeds down there.
Is it January yet?
Yeah, the ones down there. All y'all 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All y'all down there.
It get lonely at the top of the mountain, DG. We get real lonely up here.
Hey man, can I say 15-1? Guess we just frauds.
Y'all smell that? Smell like January. Smell like playoff season.
I guess we'll find out.
Uh-oh.
This is like I'm watching
January season.
We're all watching Penn State, Boise State, right? This game over.
That's
crazy right now.
You can put Boise State to bed.
I thought Boise State was gonna fight for like a quarter and then Penn State whoop them. That's
This game over, man.
Hey man, Drew Allard, baby, is bombs over Baghdad. That's just what you witnessing right now, man. Okay.
Boy.
Anyway, we're supposed to be talking about the Chiefs. Anyway, welcome everybody to a New Year's Eve edition of Tell the Truth, of course. Here, a 1C Chiefs miss present for everybody within Chiefs Kingdom. And fortunately for this team that has played more games than anybody over the last half decade, they now get to sit, relax, and properly schedule out however they want to handle these next 24 days before they will be playing in what will probably be a Saturday, January 18th divisional round playoff game after we watch wildcard weekend and what shakes out this weekend as far as week 18 of the regular season is concerned to wrap up this 2024 season. So look, guys, I mean, I know it feels like forever ago, doesn't it? Obviously, when games start on a Wednesday, then you got a Thursday game, then you got 3 Saturday games, and then you got an awful Sunday slate because they decided to wrap everything up, and then you have a Monday night football game on top of it. Feels like it's been a bit, but how you guys feeling, man? How you feeling? The Chiefs have wrapped up that 1 seed, and that is done and dusted in the books, and this team is primed and ready for the playoffs.
It's always good to get to sit back and watch stress-free football. Not have to worry about your team playing at this point. Just gotta, as always, continue to credit this organization, what they've been able to accomplish, man. To go 15-1 this year, up until this point, to do that with all the injuries and adversity that they kind of faced. And I know people out there who say, well, they didn't face that much. How they face adversity with 15-1? You lose, your number 1 receiver. You lose your number 2 receiver. You go down some guys on defense. You lose your CB2. You had to wait to get back your one of your better pass rushers in the middle of the year. So Chiefs faced some vaunted adversity this year and really overcame it. The offensive line issues that you've had this year to be still sitting here 15-1 is absolutely crazy, but I think it speaks to the commitment and the work ethic and the dedication to be great in this game from 1587 on down to Andy Reid, to the coaching staff, to Brett Veach in the front office and all those guys up there and what they do, man. You can tell greatness is constantly in the room at Arrowhead, one Arrowhead Drive. And, man, they just continue to figure out a way to keep it rolling, man. So as a fan, you're just trying to enjoy it, soaking all in it. Like I said this year, I would like to see them three-peat, but if they don't, the Chiefs owe me nothing to this point. We living in the golden age, and I'm just trying to enjoy every minute of it right now.
Mm-hmm. CJ, what about you, man? How you feeling after the Chiefs wrap it up?
Absolutely. DG summed it up great. Been saying this since training camp. This team is the definition of championship pedigree. No matter what happens, through all the adversity, he said players down, losing coaches here, different matchups, different scenarios for this team. They find ways to win no matter the circumstances, no matter the obstacle they have to overcome. Blocking field goals, last-minute defensive stops, game-winning drives, fourth quarter QBR for Pat. There's just no scenario this team isn't built for. And that's why during the season, every time we had our space after a win or a loss, even funnier after the losses or the one loss we had with Buffalo, and the way our fans would react. And like DG just said, y'all acting like this team hasn't done nothing for the last 4 to 5 years. Oh, my Jesus. Oh, crap.
That's a crazy fumble.
Wow.
Sorry, y'all.
No, I'm watching this too. That's cool.
Y'all gonna get live reactions. I'm sorry.
I know.
Oh,
We are Penn State and Boise are playing right now, so we're unfortunately also reacted to that. And
hey, Genty
had
ain't never crazy that down. My goodness, bro.
That's a heck of a strip, though. I'll say that much.
Give me that.
Yeah, he was in.
Oh yeah, that's a fumble.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
That's definitely
okay. I'm sorry, CJ. Go ahead.
Okay. No, to restart, no, just like championship pedigree. The Chiefs are a definition of that. Any scenario, any situation, this team is built for it. That's why during the season, I never wavered. I never worried. I laughed at the way our fans reacted because, to our point, we've been saying all year, most of our fan base acts spoiled when we win or lose a game, regardless of how we play. And it shows you the fact that the way they're playing now with 2 dominant wins and, for some of the national media's perspective, blowout fashion, because we weren't blowing anyone out. So I guess we've won a couple of games by more than 10 points. So I guess that's a blowout win or comfortable win for them. Not like a nail biter like we've usually had, but like we said the stat earlier this year, over 70% of playoff games are all one possession. And I think there's no team that's better built for one possession games than the Chiefs. They've done it for the last 5-6 years. So there's no scenario, like I said, that they've seen that they haven't been prepared for. So that's why going into this playoff mode and the way they're playing now, this is the team we all expected to see. And obviously nobody wanted to hear us be positive and be obviously try to calm the tempers down in the Chiefs kingdom and say, oh, they're going to turn it around. They're going to turn the switch on. And people thought that switch is fake. It's not real. There's no way you could be that good of a team and play this way and magically turn around and be a better team toward the end of the season. But time and time again, the Chiefs break mantras. They break notions. Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, right back.
Boise State. Hey, coming back. Come in. Fight back. Fight back. Boise, fight back.
Are you kidding me?
Fight back. Gave it right back to him. Boop.
Yo. My man.
He said, hey, hold him. He said,
this is going to be bad, bro.
He said, Genty, hold my beer. You think you fumbling. Watch this.
Drew, what are you doing?
Dang, Drew.
Just hand it off, gang.
That's crazy. All in all, to wrap it up, Chiefs are a dominant team. They've been a dominant team. They've been the best team in the league the last 5-6 years. Y'all know the records. Y'all know the stats. This is their season. And this is the time of the year when they start peaking and they start playing their best football. We've been saying it all year they would. A lot of people didn't want to hear the notion of they're going to turn the switch on. This flip has been switched. Or the switch has been flipped now. The last 2 weeks versus Houston versus Pittsburgh. Multiple turnovers. We have since the Cleveland game, we have a total of 8 turnovers now? It should be 9 now.
9?
I think it's 9
turnovers.
Yeah,
we have 9 turnovers in 3 games. So
wait, no, because we got 6 versus
Cleveland,
the Browns.
Yep.
We got
2. I thought it was 2 versus Houston. Or is it 1?
2 versus Houston. 2 versus Houston by McDuffie and Hicks got the other.
So maybe
one.
10 there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
a fumble. Yep.
Quick math.
2
and the fumble and the interception
versus 10 turnovers.
10 turnovers in 3 games for your Kansas City Chiefs, which
we
they had 10 going into that Browns game. They have doubled their total in 3 weeks.
So you're a negative turnover differential team heading into that Cleveland game. Now you've got 10 turnovers in 3 weeks. That's the energy. That's the switch that we've mentioned all year. This team is, and you would think that the national media and our fan base would build up enough pedigree for this team or give them the benefit of the doubt because, like DG said, we've won so much, and yet fans still expect perfection. I'm like, I don't know what more you can ask this team or organization to do that they haven't done the last half decade, and they're going to continue to do because Patrick Mahomes is only 28 years old. He's already they think he's 3rd all time in playoff wins for quarterbacks. That record's going to get smashed by the time he even gets to 30. He's only 28 now, so everything for this team is in front of them. We just had to get healthy at the right time, like DG said. Menahu's back, Pacheco's back. There's rumors that Jay Watt may come back. Who knows? If Jalen, if you listening, hey gang, we repping for you 3-5. We want you back.
He
But
was
everything for this
sprinting
team,
at the facility.
Do
he was
them
running and he
ankle
looked good.
exercises. You know, get the
Yes.
band, get the resistant bands. You
We're not
know,
trying to make
pull it.
assumptions.
Yeah, you know,
Get
do
on
all
that.
that.
As long as he can cut and move, he
Do
looked
all
good
that.
to me. So,
Yes.
but
Treadmill, the
no,
water, you know, everything.
all that
As
treadmill,
as
all that.
as CJ said, it's all about that peaking at the right time, and we'll talk about kind of the injuries. And I think it's going to end up being kind of a full roster review because everybody has gone through some level of attrition to this point in the season. That's what happens at the end of a long season. But to your point, I mean, it's the championship pedigree, and this is why. Obviously, when you trade away Tyreek Hill and you're coming off of the AFC Championship game loss, there are questions, and there are understandable questions. You only had one championship under your belt. You lost in that AFC Championship game. You lost in the Super Bowl to the Buccaneers, and you have to go and prove yourself again. This is the next evolution of can you do it without Tyreek Hill? They did it, and it was a dominant season. Number one scoring offense, Mahomes Super Bowl MVP, one of the best quarterback seasons of all time, point blank period. And I'm not going to try and hear it from anybody else either. And all of that was a dominant run for that team, number one seed as well. Then you go to the next year, it's a struggle. Turning the ball over consistently. Offense can't get going. Defense is elite and carrying you throughout a lot of that season, but you're still struggling and you got to go on the road to the Ravens and the Bills. But you prove to everybody that said that you couldn't do it, that you could go do it. You didn't have to be at home. You can go into your house, win those games, even with Patrick Mahomes on a high ankle sprain. And go finish it off, or not a high ankle sprain, I should say, but go finish it off ultimately and go beat the 49ers again in the Super Bowl as well. And all of that being said is like, what this team can do it when they were dominant. They proved it last year when they struggled. There's nothing else for me to doubt. So I trust them, even when it looks ugly, you know, in certain circumstances, even when you got question marks about what the wide receiver core is going to look like. Brett Veach made the moves necessary to supplement them. Got Hollywood Brown back. Offense is rolling. Even the offensive line is in flux as far as the tackle situation is concerned. They did what they needed to do to get through the season. Mix and matched at left tackle and had to bring in Wanye Morris at right tackle. It worked. They got what they needed to do. Joe Tooney stepped up as he needed to. And they got through the season. Patrick Mahomes had a little bit of an uneven start. They got DeAndre Hopkins in here, and he took off. The defense, you said, man, look, we lost L'Jarius Sneed, traded him for what's going to be an extremely high draft pick that, you know, we'll be happy to talk about in the springtime. And, hey, what is this team going to look like? Well, you know, Trent McDuffie takes another half step forward. You got great play at Jalen Watson. Well, that guy goes down. It's a little bit of struggle for a bit. D-line struggling. Well, the team ended up turning around, you know, when it needed to. So, ultimately, it's just what you said, peaking at the right time, but also trusting that this team, because of its championship pedigree, is going to get it done to what it needs to. So, along those lines, I said last week, I asked if that was obviously the best game of the season. I think that now we can point blank period say that this was probably the best game of the Chiefs season to this point, which was on Christmas. The fact that it comes on the third game of 3 games in 11 days is insane. The fact that it comes against a playoff team, obviously to that point, is also crazy. But just this stretch of saying, hey, you had what is essentially a dominant win versus a bad team, a dominant win versus a solid team, and then you had a blowout win versus a good team on the road on top of that. It's just about that peaking at the right time. So let's start on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, obviously we know Patrick Mahomes had, you know, what was, I think, also his best game of the season, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, continued his dominance versus the Steelers. He really loves playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, it appears, from that perspective as well. I just want to ask you guys, what did you guys think of Patrick Mahomes' performance on Christmas and how he handled things?
Man, I thought he was efficient. That's probably the best. I thought last week against the Texans, he looked the most efficient that he's looked all year. These back-to-back games, and especially on Christmas, he was dialed in, man. You can tell when Pat is about to go into that playoff mode and turn it up a notch, because it seems like his level of focus and trust and his decision making is a lot more decisive, especially in these later games, especially as we get towards January, and that's how he looked on Sunday. He was locked in, man. Ball was coming out of his hands fast. Love the decision to get the RPO game going. I felt like they kind of focused on that because I think they kind of knew that the Steelers were really good at stopping the run, especially up the middle. Cam Hayward's a beast, man. It's hard to run when you got a Hall of Fame guy like that on that side of the line, especially with T.J. Watt to pair with it. But so I feel like they really wanted to use that extension of the RPO game as the run game, getting Xavier Worthy out there in the flats, and utilizing their speed on the perimeter. And when they're clicking and rolling like that, man, Pat is locked in. It looks really good. He looks comfortable in the pocket. A lot of times, that offensive line did a really good job of keeping him clean. I know it's still points in times where they're giving up some pressures and stuff like that, but he doesn't look as happy feet as he did earlier on this season. He doesn't look like he's not trusting, his guys or whatever. Looks very comfortable. So I'm glad he's at that point in this time of the year. Hopefully that continues on to the playoffs.
No, Pat. Obviously, like a lot of the issues we've had this year stem from a lot of the things that traveled over from last year. Receiver room is in flux, like DMac stated earlier. It's kind of ironic that last year we started the year with all the drops that we had, and this year we had so much excitement, so much hype for this room, and it was all warranted because they played well in training camp and preseason. And for the first couple of weeks of the season, that group looked amazing, even without Hollywood. Rasheed Rice was on his way to having a 1,200 plus yard season and having 10 plus touchdowns, looking like a top 5 receiving yards, and it was going to be an all-pro guy the way he was playing the first month of the year before he went down in LA. So to get to this point now, it's been a lot of adversity, and that's why we stated earlier, there was never a reason to panic, because if there was any season to worry about the offense, it was last year when we really couldn't catch the football. This year, that was not our issue. Our issue was just keeping guys on the football field and giving Pat time to make plays. And everything this year wasn't the O-line's fault. When the receivers' fault, 15 was that fault of his own, and he stated that plenty of times in his pressers. But once you it's the same thing like last year when I stated, we shrunk the offense down, condensed everything, decided who are going to be our go-to guys once we get down to playoff times and big game scenarios. And we've kind of situated our offense now with the O-line issue, moving Tooney at the left tackle, giving DJ Humphries more time to get healthy and get his knee or his hamstring back in order before we bring him back for the January playoff run. So Tooney's been an all-pro. He's one of the best linemen in the league. He's a 3-time champ, 4-time champ for a reason. Nothing that guy can't do. He gets all my respect. If there's an MVP on this team right now, it's him, because everything we need him to do, he stepped up and calmed everything down. To DG's point, Pat's looked 10 times calmer, cleaner the last 3 weeks for a reason, because we put Joe Tooney at left tackle. So Pat's more comfortable making his reads, making his throws, not leaving the pocket. The biggest thing he's doing is taking his check downs. That's the biggest thing I've been harping on him about. He wants to make the big play, but just take the 5, 6, 7 yards you can when the ball's in front of you. So I love what this offense has done. We're running the football at a good clip. Kareem Hunt's Mr. First Down. Every time he touches the ball, he falls forward. I can't wait to see him and Pacheco doing the playoffs. It's going to be an extremely, extremely tough scenario for defenses to deal with. So overall for Pat, I think he's just playing clean football because he protects his left side now. And I think we're running the football at a high clip as well. And we bringing in Hollywood helps everyone's role be fully established. So everything's in front of the thing for this offense now. You have everyone designated for their role. You have your tight ends. You have your running backs, your deep shot receivers with Zay, your multiple receivers with Hollywood, your possession guys with D-Hop. Everybody's role is defined now. So there's no thinking outside your box or trying to exert yourself or do more than you're asked to do when you're game planning through a football week and trying to prepare to win a football game. So I feel like last year, in the beginning of this season, we had guys working outside of their role. Sky Moore last year, Xavier Worthy this year. Guys dipped in up and down on their play. But when guys are asked to do more, that's when mistakes come. Now guys are just explained just to do their role and focus on that role. And you see the way the offense looked the last 3 weeks. So I'm excited for what we're going to do in January for sure. Mainly for Pat. I think when he's locked in, not a better quarterback in the world for sure.
Yeah. And I think that the thing about it is for me is if you told me early on in the season what the offensive output was going to look like if this team ran for under 50 running back yards in a game, it was at 3.5 a carry, even it's all in total, including Patrick Mahomes running for, I think it was 2 for 20 or 1 for 12, I should say, and Xavier Worthy going 2 for 10. I would have told you it probably was going to be a pretty ugly game, but Hollywood Brown being back, obviously DeAndre Hopkins being traded for, you see now the passing offense has so many different options to go after, and Patrick Mahomes is the ultimate point guard out there to be able to distribute the ball effectively and take advantage of what he's seeing. And so the offensive line did their job in keeping them clean. Joe Tooney had a legitimately good game at left tackle, obviously versus Alex Highsmith, which is not an easy matchup by any means as well. Juwan Taylor, I know people are going to harp on the few penalties that he had a really good day versus T.J. Watt, because T.J. Watt didn't touch Patrick Mahomes, and that's ultimately what the goal is as offensive lineman as well. Interior three, Mike Caliendo stepped out well once again. Obviously, we know what Trey and Creed bring to the table on a consistent basis. So when you have the time and you saw a little bit of those elements, Patrick Mahomes, some of those bubble, slant RPOs. You saw that one that he hit to Hollywood Brown that erased that kind of second and long they had start out because of a penalty, and he went and got that first down. Those are things that you kind of missed a little bit without Tyreek Hill. And I don't know if it was maybe they don't necessarily fully trust Xavier Worthy, or it's being able to put both of those guys on the field to stretch things a different way. You saw that they were getting back to some of that old RPO stuff that they really do love, to make it so that that's the short, run game, or the short passing game that supplements the run game. And so I was extremely happy to see that. And now that they're implementing that in the way that they are, this offense looks like it's ready to explode. And when it comes to playoff time, you got to be able to win multiple ways. They show that they can win even when their run game necessarily isn't the lead aspect of it. I think they've been doing kind of recently as well, but it's important to get that passing chemistry down. And now that they got Hollywood Brown back, they've got a dangerous set of weapons to go out and attack defense with that I'm happy with. So anything else as far as offense you guys like to highlight as well?
Nah, man. I mean, overall, everything's been clicking these last couple of weeks. Really proud of the way that they've developed and tried to get Xavier Worthy involved as much as they can. There's some things that I've seen on film. If Pat just had just a second or two more time in the pocket in some games, Xavier's open.
Look, he's creating separation on a consistent basis, and this will probably be something that I'll say for the off season of talking about some of those missed chances. It's not just the deep balls; it's some of the times in which he's simply just creating separation and breaking routes. That I'm very happy about where he's going to be going into year 2 and what his growth can look like, and so I'm extremely excited for that. But yes, certainly his development over this back half of the season has been the other aspect of bringing in DeAndre Hopkins, and then also getting Hollywood Brown back, that has allowed the offensive ceiling for this team to be raised on a just a higher level. And everybody said early on that Xavier Worthy was X, Y, and Z. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm happy. Oh my God, that he's happy. I'm happy that Xavier Worthy is on this team. They continue to mature with him as well. That's wild. So this is going to be a little bit of a truncated show. We're only going to touch on a few things, but the thing that we do have this week is going to be the Tell the Truth Film of the Week for that Christmas Day game versus the Steelers. Trent McDuffie, have yourself a day, kid.
All pro Trent, say it right.
All pro Trent McDuffie, well earned. Trent McDuffie has been, for my money, one of the 3 best corners in the National Football League this year, and he's earned it. And it's not because he's been in the slots, because he's been able to go outside and match up with guys on a consistent basis. So I thought the Steelers game was a really good encapsulation of his skill set in general, and then also some ways in that which he's kind of grown from that perspective. And I do want to start kind of with the one play that he gave up throughout the entirety of the day. And this was early on, a back shoulder kind of throw down the sideline to George Pickens as well. And this is where, this is what George Pickens and Russell Wilson end up doing from this perspective. And George Pickens is able to create that little late separation, be able to catch that, and Russell Wilson ends up putting it on him. But the thing I wanted to highlight here, McDuffie does do a solid job at getting his head around, but the issue is there's too much space for Russell Wilson to put this ball into towards the sideline, and that space created is what ends up being Trent McDuffie from that perspective. And this is the thing about being on the outside, and Trent McDuffie, because he's shorter and also has a little bit shorter arms, he has to win early on, and then also because of his mentality and the way that he plays with, his ability to shrink that space is ultimately what's going to allow him to be successful versus those bigger wide receivers. Go ahead. You were going to say something, DJ?
No, I was just saying it sometimes it comes down to a point where it's good defense, but it's better offense. Pickens, I think on this, Russell Wilson in his career has always thrown an amazing deep ball and moon ball, as we all call it, or whatever. But he's been very effective with that. But the ability of George Pickens, you see the talent that he possesses in this one play with the late hands, which a lot of receivers don't, especially early on in their careers, and don't really have developed to this point in their games. And so I just think that's ultimately what this is. No, not really a bad rep by Trent McDuffie, just better offense.
Just a good catch, bro. Just a
Yeah,
good catch.
you just got to
Yeah.
chalk this one up.
Really,
and just
a
realize-
really good throw and yeah.
By a receiver that's
Yeah,
really
really
good
good
at
throw.
contested catches. So
Is his chief skill in national football catch those contested catches, and it's the thing that he gets worried about because with go lines to
DMac,
whether
DMac.
it is Mike.
DG, get him.
Yeah, you kind of lagging, Mac.
Hey, DMac, you lagging.
Go get him back.
DG, go get him.
It's probably gonna pop him out here. But yeah, man, this is just the play that
That's just
speaks.
Pickens being Pickens, man.
Yeah, speaks to his talent and where he's at. I think the mental part of the game isn't fully there for him yet. The whole, trying to put that together. You back, Matt? You were lagging a little bit.
He was
I hope
lagging.
so. Can you guys
Yeah,
see me?
yeah, we can hear you.
You back
by
by
now?
now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Hopefully it
this
stays
just-
that way. Go ahead.
They had you with that
Pickens,
Steelers Wi-Fi for a minute.
Pickens showing his talent and where he can be if he ends up putting it all together at one point. So that's all.
Great coverage,
Go
great
ahead.
throw, great catch.
CJ, really quickly, explain the concept of late hands for people if they don't understand what that is. Because
No, as a DB, and a lot of our fans probably get upset coming into this year. They always say, well, how come DBs always, especially if some of ours, will never turn their head around? Because obviously receivers don't give tails. And the tail is basically if I'm in phase and we're running down the field like George Pickens is here, I don't want to look for the ball too early or show my hands to make the DB think, oh, the ball is here now. So as a receiver, you're taught to have late hands. So you wait for the last possible second for the ball just to get to you. Then you put your hands up and make a play on the ball. Because if I do it too early and I'm running like this or I'm looking for the ball too early, the DB can also react to the ball and make a play. So as a receiver, you want to run, keep your head down, have kind of like a peripheral, knowing where the ball is coming. And then once it gets in your general vicinity and it gets close to your head, then you want to make a play on the ball. So don't peek too early because then the DB has a chance to make a play on the ball as well. So the later you look at the ball, the better you have a chance to make the play because the DB is looking at you. He's not looking at the ball. So if you look up, he's going to look up. So the later you look, the later he has time to react to make a play on the ball. So as a receiver, you want to just run to your spot, have a general, like I said, vicinity of where the ball is at, then go make a play. And obviously Pickens is a special talent, one of the best in the league at making contested catches. This is why he was highly commended coming out of Georgia because he's a great player who can make plays on the ball. Yes, he's immature, but a play like this is why you deal with some of the things that you deal with Pickens because he's just a special player. So I understand why people were infatuated with him, but Trent McDuffie's in perfect position. So don't blame Trent at all on this play. He's in phase. He's hip to hip. Made a play on the ball. It's just late hands, like DMac stated. And Pickens did a great job waiting until the last second to look for the ball. And great throws beat great defense any day, like DG said too. So.
Absolutely. So thank you for explaining that as well. But I wanted to start out again with the one play that McDuffie did end up giving up kind of throughout this day. But I think it's good context for what the Steelers offense really is built on and what they want to do, but specifically how Trent McDuffie was able to play throughout this game and really mitigate a lot of those aspects as well. So obviously you see the George Pickens catch from this perspective. We'll get to the next play here, which is being able to learn that lesson. And this is also versus Mike Williams, who lesser receiver than George Pickens, but somebody that has had success versus us in the past, obviously when he's with the Steelers, but a guy in the same mold, a guy that wants to get down the field, down the sideline and, be physical at the catch point and be able to bring those passes in. Russell Wilson throws it over to him. And I wanted to also include the sideline view for this one too, because again, this is the lesson learned in being able to win effectively from this perspective. The space here is lessened. Trent McDuffie gets his head around earlier, is able to contest this even more. Again, squeezes the sideline, uses it to his advantage as boundary corner should do on a consistent basis, and ultimately pushes Mike Williams out of bounds as he tries to bring this pass in. And he isn't able to haul it in. They had to overturn it specifically and say that he didn't get those 2 feet down. But that is the purpose of what a boundary corner is supposed to do, to be able to take away these things be able to squeeze that sideline, make it difficult for the quarterback to make those throws, and then get your head around quickly enough to be able to give a real contest. That's what he was able to do here from this play. I didn't know if DG wants to jump in there.
No,
Go ahead,
I was thinking about all the Steelers fans I had to see this week that were complaining about that player being reviewed and not the Hollywood Brown play being reviewed. But it's of course because y'all don't know the rules. So
You can review theirs. You can't review our DG. You know how that goes.
yeah. We get all the reviews in the world.
Throw the challenge.
But it would help if your coach would throw the challenge flag. When he needs to.
Look at Thomas.
He has
just look at Thomas just sitting there looking. Ain't
challenging
nothing.
This one was underneath. This was within the 2 minutes of the half. So
which is the rule you're not allowed to challenge.
The other one wasn't. And look, this is again.
You can't.
Sorry, guys. This is the difference between championship teams and just teams that make the playoffs. Your attention to detail. We hurried up after the Hollywood Brown play to make sure that
because we knew you can't.
Hey, sorry, be better.
Know the rules.
The details. Like I said, championship pedigree.
Yes. And so again, this is what you see from that perspective. So learning the lesson from the George Pickett's earlier catch, being able to squeeze that sideline and make it difficult. But this is where Trent McDuffie ultimately shines the most, is when, hey, these guys are not trying to get just open down the sideline. He's trying to shake you. Guess who stays in the hip pocket as good or better than anybody else in the National Football League? Mr. Trent McDuffie down at the bottom of the screen with George Pickens. There's no window to get that out route for Russell Wilson to throw this ball.
Locked up.
That is locked up. From the second that he got off the line of scrimmage, he had no chance from that perspective as well. And you love to see it. This is what you saw a lot of the day on the outside. Go ahead, DG.
I wonder. I got a feeling at some point in McDuffie's career, like maybe in high school or early on, that he played receiver at some point. Maybe he did. I don't know if that's true or not, but he has. What I love about watching him is that when he's left on the island and it's just him, he doesn't panic ever. I hardly ever, and that's the thing for a lot of corners in the league. Like some corners, they can play coverage and things of that nature, but then they'll get into a compromising position. Yeah, they start panicking or whatever, and then that's when you see the penalties kind of start to fly. I think that's one of the main issues with Josh Williams is that I think sometimes he plays good coverage, but then there are points in times where he panics and and draws a flag or whatever. So
as expected.
It just I've been seeing this kind of throughout McDuffie's career, especially in the film. Like I think one of his best games ever was in the Super Bowl against Debo, and he was pretty much running Debo's routes for him.
And that week 2 game versus Bengals.
And that week 2 game against Jamar Chase. But he's just got a natural ability of knowing what's coming ahead of him. Being in that hip pocket, like you said, and just staying on top of a route all the way through.
And go back to that speed out that George ran DMac. I think this is a great subtle thing that fans probably don't notice. And since we're watching film, that'll probably be a great. Notice how he jammed George directly off the line. So one, it knocks off his timing. Now I can react because now I built myself a cushion. So I get my hands on him first. Now he's just in phase. So he gets on that. He's like phase. So now when he breaks, I break. And I have my cushion now. And there's no room for a DPI or a holding. Because I built that cushion already. Instead of like ride, how most DBs would like ride you and run with them with their hand on their shoulder. He did his work early. Now I can stay in phase. I have my cushion. Now I'm just reacting. I know he can't beat me inside because I've already built that position. So the only thing he can't do is break out, and I have Justin over the top. He knows the coverage, he knows his leverage, and he played his technique early. So now I do all my work out the way. Now I can just make a play on the ball. That's just what an all-pro corner does for sure.
It's one thing to have the skill. It's another thing to have the instincts to go along with it too. And I think he has both.
And then to your point about that patience, it goes into that instinct to just, hey, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to play the route effectively. And to your point, being able to do your work early on is what then plays into, hey, Russell Wilson is in the back of his head. He has that eternal clock. There's an edge rusher that's about to hit Russell Wilson if he holds that ball in any seconds longer as well, with Mike Danek looping in underneath. That is the thing. If you're able to throw off the timing of the route, then you have the ability then to win on a consistent basis. And that's what McDuffie obviously has been very good at throughout the entirety of his career, but then being able to really translate it for some more physical wide receivers on the outside as well. What's up, Chris? Happy New Year to you, Doug.
Good, Chris. Happy New Year.
Yes. So That was, I think that was like a third and long type of play as well. Another example of Trent McDuffie on George Pickens, and you're going to get it right here as well. A little bit of second reaction scramble play that McDuffie ends up playing the short stick route to try and convert on third down, and there's really nothing to throw there. Drew Tranquil also with a little bit of help inside to make sure that he squeezes it, and then plasters George Pickens on any attempt at a scramble route for Russell Wilson. Kind of panic throw there with Charles Omenihu getting into his face as well, and there just wasn't anything open from that one. So again, the consistent ability to line up one-on-one with George Pickens on a consistent basis and make it incredibly difficult on him really showed throughout the game. It also continued to, I think, pile up for some frustration both from Russell Wilson and George Pickens as well. And here you're going to see some of the frustration from Russell Wilson. He wants to go to George Pickens here, isolated to the bottom of your screen. And he looks at him and he's like, all right, well, that's locked up. I can't go there. He's like, all right, well, let me look it off. And then eventually he's just going to kind of throw it away because there's nothing else open from that aspect. Again, being able to look one-on-one and shut down that initial route that the guy wants to go to as far as his first read makes it incredibly difficult to go from that point forward.
I get the feeling that Pickens in this game thought that he could beat McDuffie with his strength or just kind of bully McDuffie at the line. And that was not happening at all.
No, it's not.
And
he's a very strong individual.
He is. And it's one of those things. He doesn't have the longest arms. But again, if your technique and your balance and you're not panicking, you're not grabbing, you're not holding, all those things are aligned, you can make up for some of those things. And he's not, huge, but he is compact and he's able to be, and you see his strength in other aspects we'll get into a little bit later on, but it certainly manifests in his ability to press at the line of scrimmage as well. So he shuts down that George Pickens thing, that George Pickens route from that perspective too. And then you're going to see here again, one-on-one with George Pickens to that slant fade, or that kind of, stick fade, I should say, to the top of the screen here. Again, Russell Wilson. Hey, I want to throw this to George Pickens. Slot fade. He's been really good against this all year. Well, it's not there. Now I got to scramble, and George Karlaftis is hustling around the edge to go and get the sack. A massive sack on second down that puts him back at 3rd and 10. Again, frustrating for Russell Wilson to say, well, my number one wide receiver is getting absolutely locked up. I can't really get anywhere else from that perspective as well as the game goes on. And then the next play coming up here is about the frustration that George Pickens ends up experiencing. To your point, DG, I think that I can win my one-on-one matchups versus this guy. I think I'm going to be able to use my strength to get off the line of scrimmage to do so. Well, over the course of a game, if you keep getting bench pressed at the line of scrimmage, eventually you're kind of sick and tired of doing it. And this is what exactly is going to happen to George Pickens at the top of the screen. He's going to be like, all right, well.
And to Trent's credit, obviously Trent played the technique right, outside leverage, because I know I have inside safety held, so I'm just not going to let him beat me on my outside shoulder. George gave up on the route. That's the main thing that he's upset about. Like, yes, he beat you. You can still keep finding work and trying to run outside to make Justin Reed respect you. Once you've given up on a play, if I'm Justin Reed, I'm like, you're taken care of. Now I can solely focus on this inside threat, which is the tight end. Now I can just focus on that play right there in front of me. So
that's what makes me wonder. Like, and I know this is clearly about Trent McDuffie, but this
the infatuation.
It makes me wonder: does Pickens care about football? Or does Pickens care about Pickens? Because this is a clear example, especially on this play, that like
that's a selfish play.
You just did not want to do your job. Like the ball obviously isn't going to you, so you feel like you don't have to run your route to draw coverage your way, knowing that you're the guy on that team. We're doubling you. So it's like you just give up on your route and you kind of leave your quarterback in a bind, and now he has to try to force a throw and makes a mistake. Like, and I ain't gonna lie, this is probably the easiest interception Justin Reed will ever get in his life.
And that's a credit to Trent. Once Trent does that work early and he notices George isn't moving off 5 yards, he can solely focus on the inside threat, which is really only one player coming towards him, which is Pat Freiermuth here, and you got Drew Tranquil working underneath. So once Trent did his work early, like previously on the other play, he's removed George Pickens from the play. Now there's no threat of him at all. So that play was solely won by Trent and George's effort. But Justin Reed being in the right position to make plays, and for all the flack we give Justin, He's played well the last 2 weeks in coverage, mainly
Yes.
obviously he's always been a willing tackler and a great tackler for our defense for what he's asked to do inside the box. But making plays in coverage, A, alignment, B, assignment, and C, executing the play. Justin Reid has done that well at the last 2 weeks. He was one of the guys I wanted to highlight today. Obviously, we can't break down everyone. There's only so many players we can talk about. But he's played very well in coverage, specifically the last 8 quarters of football, mainly because he's A, getting lined up, and then B, is just alignment, and he knows where to be. And I think being in this defense 3 years now, he knows this defense better than anyone here next to Spags. Obviously, that's why he loves him in the scenarios. And I know fans give him a hard time, and he makes his mistakes. None of that is invalid. But at times, he makes plays because he knows where to be. And he did that here in the Steelers game.
And I'll say two quick things just to piggyback off of that. This guy here in the slot, Chris Roland Wallace, has gotten more opportunities because of
more snaps. His snaps have run up.
His ability to be able to be more of a actual coverage corner in the slot has helped a lot from that perspective as well. Hasn't put the safeties in as many compromising positions from that standpoint after guard slot wide receivers, which you saw at a consistent basis is an issue. Secondarily, I think he's on the field here. Yes, Mr. Charles Omenihu here at the bottom of the screen. Being able to help the pass rush on a consistent basis makes it easier for everybody on the back end to do their job effectively as well. And those things work in concert to make everything kind of coalesce from that standpoint. You've seen the benefits of that, certainly the last 3 weeks as well. But as CJ said, again, and that's the thing I also wanted to point out, Justin Reid here is shaded to help on George Pickens. He just is. That's why Russell Wilson ends up throwing this ball. In his mind before the snap, Justin Reid is going to be on George Pickens. He expects George Pickens to run this route down the field. Trent McDuffie stops that from happening. He, throughout the entirety of the game, has frustrated George Pickens with his ability to press at the line of scrimmage. And now it has manifested in George Pickens quitting on this route. Russell Wilson making that predetermined throw down the seam, trying to attack Tampa 2 coverage, and Justin Reid making a really good play on the ball to go ahead and make that interception as well. And so that's how Trent McDuffie's work throughout the game can lead to turnovers from that perspective, obviously in coverage. And then you get to this one as well. This is the aspect of his game that I think is still somehow underrated when we talk about this. And we saw it plenty versus the Texans, the physicality that they bring to the table. But they're going to motion Calvin Austin across the formation. He's got to trigger down, and he sees him at the line of scrimmage and shuts him down immediately. And that is the toughness that Trent McDuffie plays even as an undersized corner. And it's awesome to see him play with. And really all the corners play with that level of physicality. But when your number one corner does it, it feels like it brings a little bit extra oomph to it throughout the entirety of your defense as well. So I wanted to highlight that, and give Trent McDuffie that shout out. And then, of course, this is the one that he creates on his own. The fumble recovery, again, his ability to come down against a bigger player, strip the ball. And, we saw him his rookie year. He had that punch out versus. Yes. Or no, this wasn't rookie. His last year. Sophomore year. Not last year. Last year versus the Detroit Lions. We saw the punch out in the opening game, but he's continued to try and add the turnover aspect of it. Obviously, previous 2 games, he got the interceptions. That strip is a consecutive takeaway streak for Trent McDuffie at this point. And you got to just give him a shout out, man. For physicality and now wanting to take the ball away as well is a great growth from his perspective. So to me, you've seen the coverage technique skills since you came in the league, the ability to play with instincts and the mentality to play with instincts on a consistent basis since he came into the league as well. But now you're seeing, that was crazy. That's a wild truck.
Great.
That was a wild truck. he went back. He staggered after that one.
Looked like he might be
but now
back.
Yeah, it looked like it. But now you're seeing not only those coverage abilities, but now you're seeing them translate to the outside versus bigger wide receivers down the boundary to become a true number one corner elite guy into this league. And he's still bringing that level of physicality, and now he's adding the ability to take the ball away on top of it. You're looking at one of the most impactful defenders in the National Football League. On the number one scoring defense in the National Football League for Kansas City Chiefs. So shout out to Trent McDuffie. I feel like we haven't necessarily highlighted him to the extent that he deserves. This game I thought was a great way to look at it, specifically given the matchup. he deserved it from this perspective. Go ahead.
We've told this team they needed the one weakness they had dating back to last year was getting turnovers. Like we said, since the Cleveland game, we have 10 turnovers. They're ramping up at the right time, and your best players are the ones that are making plays on the ball. Obviously, Nick Bolton got his hands on some turnovers. Trent is doing his thing. George is playing out of his mind the last 2 weeks, and we've been extremely hard on him, and for right reasons. He was supposed to be our second best pass rusher. Mike Dana has stepped up. Charles Minute, who looks healthy. The guys that we've all been clamoring for to make plays are making the plays when their number is called. That's all we've been asking for all year, and they're doing it at the right times. And Trent is just doing things that's just Trent does. And obviously, we don't call his name much to DMac's point, but that's because he doesn't get thrown at as much. And when he does get thrown at, usually like we saw today, it's probably an incompletion. So that's why he's an all-pro for a reason.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no.
It's a very boring job.
No disrespect to the other guys in this league. I respect, all the great corners that, do their jobs in this league and do the tough jobs as far as, being out there on an island by themselves and taking on the number one guy on each team. Trent McDuffie's the best corner in the league. I'm sorry. I'm ready. I'm not going to apologize for it no more. That'll be the last time I apologize for it.
It's not a wild take.
Look, at this point,
it's been him and PS2 all year from Denver. So those are the two guys. So
with the amount of, and then the only reason I would even put him over Surtain is just the versatility of where you can put him in the spot. You can blitz him.
Blitzes, does everything. Yep.
He comes up and plays and run support.
Great tackler.
Great tackler. Great press man, great in coverage and zone coverage. I mean, he's, to me, I don't know how you embody a better corner than that. A guy who can do everything that your guy can do on the other side, plus more. So,
no.
I'm sorry.
And I think Jamar Chase finished with 100 yards versus the Broncos on Saturday. Mm-hmm. When Jamar Chase played us, how many yards did he get? 40?
20. Yeah.
If that. So
40.
Not
to be fair, it was 9 for 37 or it was 9 for 37. He only had 37 yards on
37. I thought it was 37.
But he did have 100 overall.
I mean, they weren't all on Surtain, obviously, but when he played them, that's what happened. When he played us,
and I've continued to say it, and I still think that Patrick Surtain the second is the best cornerback in the National Football League. But I will say Trent McDuffie is the only cornerback that I would want here, specifically for to be used as Spags uses him. And I think that he absolutely is. After you get to Patrick, there's no other corner that I'm taking over Trent. That's just the reality situation. He's been absolutely spectacular. He's elite, and I'm so happy that we're able to get him in the first round, man. Especially given the other corner that went right after him as well, and his struggles in the National Football League to this point. Shout out to Trent McDuffie. He's been spectacular as well. And look, I said it his rookie year when he hadn't put much on tape, and he went up against Jamar Chase. I had never seen Joe Burrow turn down one-on-ones for Jamar Chase versus a corner in the National Football League. I hadn't seen that happen, but it happened when Trent McDuffie got a hold of him in the second half. And I was like, okay, well, this kid's serious, because if there's nobody that's going to respect you on the field as a corner, it's going to be the opposing quarterback. I promise you that. And Trent McDuffie has earned that respect on a consistent basis, and now he's doing it on the outside primarily, and he deserves to be said as one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League, point blank period. So hats off to you, Trent McDuffie. You earned it, man, and I can't wait to see what you do in the playoffs. So McDuffie, baby.
Duffy bag.
And Mike Duffy.
All right. So with that film out of the way, we can move on to some of the forward-facing projection aspects of it, and we're going to talk about what happens in Week 18 from this perspective. We did have Andy Reid give a little bit of an injury update. He did reconfirm that you will not see Rashee Rice or Jack Cochran for the remainder of the season, that they're going to be out. He said that Mecole Hardman could possibly have his practice window opened up at some point during the playoffs as well. And they also released Montrell Washington from the practice squad for what that may be worth as well. From that perspective, they also said that there is an outside possibility of one Mr. Jalen Watson possibly returning, as we saw Jalen Watson sprinting on Instagram at the Chiefs facility late at night, it appears. And that is a sight for sore eyes. We saw how elite of a season Jalen Watson was having previous to his injury. Unfortunately, it was always kind of murky if he was going to be able to come back. It sounds like he is possibly, progressing in the proper way to this point. So we'll see. It could be a possibility if Jalen Watson ends up coming back.
If Jay Watt can give us anything to go along with Christian Wallace, like DMac has said, and I think his elevation needs to be praised for sure, because in training camp, we were all talking about who our potentially fourth corner was going to be. And then obviously there were multiple guys that were competing for the spot. Najee, Christian Wallace, and Kamal Hayden out of Tennessee, who we eventually let go after training camp. There were multiple guys in that spot. So Christian Wallace out of USC, I believe, stepped up, ended up taking that spot. I definitely want to give him his flowers, because we were all saying who's going to play the slot position if we have to remove Trent to playing more outside and being at all pro corner. So definitely want to give Christian Wallace his flowers for sure. He stepped up big time in the last 3 weeks for sure. You can see his growth coming into these big moments and these big games.
Yeah. Go ahead. I didn't know if you can jump in. Did you?
No, I have nothing.
I just want to make sure we talked about. I know we haven't said his name too much this year, so he's earned it.
He absolutely has. And like you said, he was a UDFA. He was a UDFA coming out of USC. Was able to earn his way on this roster. There was a lot of veterans, a lot of guys we talked about that were kind of in the mix to make it onto this roster. Was Iko Boyedo, guys that were impressive last year at training camp. Nick Jones, obviously, we talked about as well. But he was the guy that ended up earning that roster spot, and we see why. He's been really good on special teams throughout the year, and certainly has stepped into the slot role effectively, especially once Jamar Connor went down and getting those extra snaps. So shout out to Chris Wallace. He's helped a lot. But yes, Jalen Watson is an outside shot to return. Miko Hardman sounds like he has a better shot to return to have his practice squad or his practice window opened at some point over the next few weeks. And Sky Moore and Rashee Rice will not be returning this year officially. So all of that being said, now we can kind of
win for Rashee, win for Sky.
That is for Sky Moore, not Rashee Rice, obviously.
Yeah, that's correct. That's me. That was me. We got you 4-2-4. We got you, baby.
Two-time Super Bowl champion Sky Moore, man.
Respect Sky Moore.
Obviously the Chiefs do have to play a game. I think that they would probably be okay if they didn't have to play the game, but they do have to play the game.
Carson,
we have to go.
Do we have to go?
We can't just stay home.
In Week 18 versus the Denver Broncos. I'm not going to bother, doing any type of matchup. It doesn't matter. We know it doesn't matter.
Carson Wentz season? No matchup? What?
It's going to be Carson Wentz season.
Carson Wentz season?
It is something that does matter a lot to the Denver Broncos, which we'll talk about a little bit later on as well. But I did want to look at the roster because it's interesting to talk about just who is going to end up playing in this game. From the perspective of, we know some of these guys are older and need to sit down. I think we all universally agree we're not going to see Chris Jones, we're not going to see Travis Kelce, we're not going to see Patrick Mahomes. Point blank, period. Yeah. I don't think that you're going to end up seeing Trent McDuffie. I don't think that you end up seeing, maybe Creed Humphrey did play last year as well. Some of that time he did. It'd be interesting to see. I think that getting him some snaps.
You're up, baby.
I think that getting him some snaps early on with Carson Wentz wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. I would understand that from that perspective. Ooh. How the offensive line rotation is going to be fascinating. Obviously, you expect that hopefully DJ Humphries, who they said is progressing and he felt good about, if he can get those snaps, I think will be very important just to have him again, get those live game reps again. But then is Kingsley going to end up getting the left tackle snaps? You expect that Joe Thuney probably isn't going to play in this game. It's going to be a lot of Hunter Norzad and Mike Kelly end up being able to go out there as well. CJ Hansen, we'll see what ends up happening from that perspective. Jawan Taylor, does he play? Is he sat down? And then Wanya Morris, is he the next right tackle up? How does Ethan Driscoll end up factoring into this? So there's a lot of moving parts. You obviously expect Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco to get very limited snaps. It's probably going to end up being mostly Carson Steele from that perspective, and Samaje Perine maybe working in as well. So I'll just ask you guys point blank period. As far as Week 18 is concerned and the offense, give me one guy that you're watching and that you want to see play, and then one guy that you really don't want to see play. And obviously Mahomes and Kelce being out from that perspective, we know.
I don't need to see D-Hop play. I think you you already kind of.
If you're over the age of 30, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think if you're a veteran, you're an older guy. I don't think you're playing this week, sir. So enjoy your week off. I mean, all the younger guys definitely would like to see Carson Steele. Definitely would like to see him getting there and getting some snaps and getting some touches that I feel like he kind of needs to this point to progress in his development. Another guy I would like to see Kingsley this week. Maybe even try to see if you can work him in at guard and see how he does there or whatever. I think this is kind of a filling out week of just seeing where guys are going to be next year or whatever. All the guys who are younger who are going to try to make this team next year. This is your chance and opportunity. Also would like to see Remigio, the Twitter receiver savior.
Training camp god right there.
Training camp god. As a lot of people like to classify him by. I would like to see what he can actually do when he's actually running routes and not running punt returns. So like to see that. But overall, just seeing the line continue to play well, keep Carson Wentz clean. I think this is a really good opportunity for DJ Humphries as well too to get some reps in and see if he's ready to full go or whatever. Defensively, don't need to see too many guys on that side of the ball, especially from the defensive line perspective. Assuming this will be a big Malik Herring, Felix, Uzama game. I'd like to see him get a lot of snaps too. I think this will help him out a lot too, getting those live reps. He had a really good pass rush rep last week where he got a sack. So see him continue that development. And then, the guys on the back end is like Najee Johnson, Keith Taylor, those Jaden Hicks as well. See him get some reps. Probably, I wouldn't expect him to play too long. Maybe probably the first half, and then he's out of there. But yeah, the young guys is who I'm excited to see. I don't know if is Shamari gonna come back this week.
We'll see. I would be surprised if they brought him back from that concussion. I think they probably just keep him on ice. They necessarily even play.
I wouldn't play Jamari.
Right.
I will say personally, as far as somebody that I don't need to see play, they set Jawan Taylor and played Wanya Morris at right tackle, and then I guess put Ethan Driscoll at right tackle. I'd be fine with that. Continue to get Wanya Morris a little bit more snaps on the right side, because we'll talk about this, but if DJ Humphries is the primary left tackle, I assume the backup plan is going to be Joe Tooney move out to left tackle and then Mike Caliendo move to left guard if something does happen from that perspective. If Jawan Taylor were to go down, which we did see, unfortunately, for a bit there with the knee injury, it does seem like Wanya Morris is the primary right tackle. And then I want to get a little bit more snaps. Not that this is his natural position at right tackle, but ideally just so he feels a little bit more comfortable, they can get some more snaps there. I'd be happy with that too from that perspective. So, but you nailed it. Kingsley, I want to see out there for as much as possible. Continue to build his confidence back up. This is obviously a difficult matchup, but just understand the pressure's off. This is not a game that we need. This is something that you can, feel that you're going out there. Let's see you get a little bit snaps in before we go into what 2025 will look like from that aspect. And then also, the question that I kind of have is, do you have Hollywood Brown play a few snaps, particularly given it is Carson Wentz out there? How much do you expose him or Xavier Worthy? I think DeAndre Hopkins should not be anywhere near this game. Certainly, I agree with that. But how much do you expose either one of those guys as well? I think that you can maybe have them out there for a series or two, just because those guys haven't caught balls from Carson Wentz throughout the season. I would be perfectly okay with that as well, but nothing too long from an exposure standpoint as well. Tight end situation is interesting. Obviously Travis Kelce isn't going to play. You're going to have Noah Gray, Peyton Hendershot. Do they elevate another tight end as well to kind of help out from that perspective? Would make a lot of sense. And I imagine you get a lot of limited Noah Gray
Big
snaps.
Bob Tunyon, let's go.
Yes, Robert Tunney signed to the practice squad. Got to give him a shout out too. And then on the defensive side, I mean, I'd like to see Joshua Uche be able to get on the field. That'd be cool.
Bro, if he don't get up now, just pack your bag.
That would be cool.
If he don't play this week, bro, I'm like, hey, bro, just pack your bag.
In all seriousness, though, sit down Nick Bolton, and probably Drew Tranquil if you can. But these linebackers, which is really just unfortunately Cam Jones, really on the active roster right now, and I believe
Jack got hurt. Yeah,
I didn't even know they had Blake Lynch on the practice squad.
Yeah,
But
they
Swayze
take that off.
Roseman,
That's who they cut
yeah, yeah.
Montreal.
Mm-hmm. And that makes sense. You right now, because Cochran went out, you lost a special teams guy, and then you need to figure out you need another linebacker. So you're gonna have Cam Jones play, obviously, but also have Swayze and Lynch play to figure out who is this other guy that's gonna end up being elevated. And I do wish Curtis Jacobs was still here. He moved on. I forgot where he ended up going, but and it'll be interesting to see who they end up elevating. Obviously, they added Siaki Ika from the Browns. We'll see if he ends up getting some work. Tyquan Thornton, obviously somebody that we added from the Patriots. Speedster, obviously return guy. Also interesting if he gets some work. Keontae Ingram could be elevated. Would make a lot of sense. They get some running back work. And obviously Chris Oladokun will come in and play at some point during the game. I would say probably late second quarter or maybe even just at halftime from that aspect. So that's kind of what you're looking at. CJ, anything else you wanted to highlight as far as guys playing or not playing in this Week 18 game?
No, we pretty much said it all. Definitely would love to see Bob Tunyon and Anthony Henderson get it. I don't want to see Noah play, selfishly, because he's been a big part of our offense. He's so valuable to us and what he does everywhere on the field, being our move tight end. So I would love to see him be in bubble wrap. I don't want to see anything happen, but if they do decide to play him, please be like a first quarter situation only and get him out of there as soon as possible. So that'd be my offensive thing I would love to see. Defensively, definitely love to see Christian Wallace get a lot more snaps now and see what he can do with a full workload. Jaden Hicks get a full game of snaps as well for him. Nico as well on offense to see what he can do to make some plays. So, those will probably be the main guys I'm excited to see. But overall, everything we said is pretty much on brand this week. Just want to get out of there with a clean game, full bill of health. I don't care what happens. Just be healthy. Please don't hurt yourself, please. That's the only thing I ask.
Absolutely. Sounds good from that perspective. So, again, meaningless game versus the Denver Broncos, given the 1 seed is wrapped up. But we'll see who ends up playing from the Chiefs' perspective as well. Before we get into the power rankings, I think we can do a little bit of a look at the AFC playoff picture. But first, we have a team delayed rest. I want to be clear about something. I am a big supporter of Mizzou and Mizzou legends like Drew Lock. I want to be very clear about that. Like big old MIZ, got the Music City Bowl win.
Mizzou legend is crazy.
Yesterday.
He's a legend.
Mizzou legend, Drew Lock. Yes, Mizzou legend, Drew Lock. Wow. He had by
respect
some respect. He had by some also Mizzou legend. He had by some respects one of the best quarterback games in recent memory versus this team on Sunday. They should be ashamed of that. They should be ashamed of that. I want to be clear about that. They should be ashamed of that. The Indianapolis Colts, you need to be laid to rest for a multitude of reasons. Giving up 45 points to the New York Giants.
That is great. That is wild.
Disgusting work. Nasty. Should never happen. Inexcusable. I don't care if Anthony Richardson was out. Inexcusable. Should never happen. You guys should be ashamed of yourself. This is a team that quit. They did not show up to play for the last few weeks, and you allowed them to put 45 on your head.
45.
You don't deserve to be anywhere near the playoff picture, and y'all deserve to be eliminated. Enjoy it. We'll see you next year. When I think, do we play the AFC South next year?
Already?
No,
we played them in 2021, so I don't think so. Not that fast.
We played the North this year. We played the East. We played the East last year. Yeah, so we play the AFC South. We played the AFC South
21, 22, 23, 24. Yeah, right back in 4 years. It looked by fast.
So we're going to be saying the AFC. So Colts, we'll see you next year.
But here in KC this time, see Lou, Buster.
Later rest the Indianapolis Colts. Y'all disgusting. That being said, the AFC playoff picture is pretty simplistic right now. Due to the Broncos' loss to the Cincinnati Bengals on Saturday. The Bengals and Dolphins still have playoff life for that 7th seed as well. Right now it comes down to the Broncos losing or winning versus us. Obviously, we'll be resting our starters. Good luck with that, Bengals and Dolphins fans. If that does happen, the Broncos somehow find a way to lose that game. God bless America. If that happens, the Dolphins win the game, and then they would therefore be in as far as the last seed in the AFC playoff picture. If the Dolphins and the Broncos lose and the Bengals win versus the Steelers, then at that point they would have the opportunity
Please help us. Help us.
to
Please,
go.
Carson Wentz. Play your starters.
Please beat
Come
the
on,
Broncos.
guys.
Beat the
Beat
Broncos.
the donkeys for us. Like,
Y'all can beat them.
I hope Carson Wentz throws like 6 interceptions and we lose by like 30. Just to troll the Bengals and the
And
Dolphins.
the best case scenario for us, obviously, out of the 3 teams, obviously we would like to see is with obviously there's a win scenario, and if we beat Denver, and obviously if the Dolphins win, then the Dolphins would get the 17th. That's obviously out of the 3 teams, the team we would most likely want to get in because we don't want to see Denver or Cincinnati.
But it doesn't matter. We're not going to play them. I
I
know you're just laying it out,
scenarios.
CJ. But
We're
this
not
is,
playing them regardless,
everybody's like, oh, the Chiefs don't want XYZ team in.
Can we stop that? Can we?
I don't give a damn.
I was just giving out the scenarios.
Go ahead. We ended the last time that the Bills were in the playoffs, the Ravens were in the playoffs, and the Bengals were in the playoffs. We ended their seasons. So I don't care who we play.
3 y'all.
I want to be clear. The last time the last time the Dolphins were in the playoffs, we ended their season too. I don't care. We play anybody. I don't give a damn. But the thing about it is, for me, we're not going to play them. This is a Bills issue. Go and cry.
Y'all losing to them.
And say, those are the Bills don't want to see the Bengals. You know, the last time the Bengals went to the Bills in the playoffs, they got worked. They should be the team that say they don't want to see the Bengals in the playoffs. We don't care
because they beat y'all in Buffalo.
Y'all should be concerned about that, Bills fans. We don't give a damn because we're the champs. So that's my little spiel as far as that's concerned. Go ahead, DG.
A team, a fan base that hasn't beat us in like 3 years now, bro. Since you called our stadium Burrowhead, you haven't.
One time.
Like the fact that y'all would sit here and say, "Oh, they don't want to see us in there." That's what it is. They scared of us. Come on, bro.
Scared of who?
Scared of who? You?
We beat y'all.
We already beat you this year. If you would have took care of business in that game, maybe you'd be in the playoffs. you ever think about that? But you didn't.
Sayonara.
You're 3-5 at home. You have a losing record in your own stadium this year, and you expect somebody else to help you make the playoffs. Help yourself. Do better.
Win the game.
Win games. How about that?
Sorry, I can't wait till this time next week, and we talking about the Bengals being officially out of the playoff hunt, and we can put y'all there. I'm tired of hearing it too.
We already did. We put it to rest a month ago.
I know, but this is like the numbers now. Officially, you're done. You're not getting in. Now we can just stop talking about it, please. So,
we put them.
I'm tired of
put them the rest of the
I know. The begging is, and that's the worst part. Is
the begging is crazy.
The
Twitter is wild. Like you really sit here.
They can beat
them. They can beat them.
You could not live with your own disappointment and disgust that.
Look at where
losing to us early in the season. Where did it lead you? Back to us, to hoping for us to win another game.
You were hating us. Now you want us to win.
Yeah, now you need a savior. And now you need
you want us to
win. And look at you. You're going to look at your empty trophy case on Sunday. You're going to get your hot wings, your disgusting ass chili. You're going to look and sit down on the couch and be like, Carson Wentz, save our season. You're going to be rooting for Carson Wentz to save your season. You deserve everything you do, you freaking losers, okay? You deserve it.
He said you
and just so you guys remember, the last time that we saw Joe Burrow in the playoffs, this is what happened. Just so people act like we don't remember what happened.
Turn the volume up, DMac. Turn the volume up.
The last time we saw Joe Burrow in the playoffs, he was throwing interceptions to our quarterbacks, just so people remember what happened the last time that ended up happening. It's going to be the Arrowhead Invitational again. Guess what? Jermaine Pratt was on the sideline saying MVS looked like Tyreek Hill.
That's Tyreek.
See that again?
He going to 11.
He going to 11.
That's his new Tyreek.
That's Tyreek Hill.
You want to do that again? That's what you guys want? We can do it again. That's fine with me. Please.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
I ain't forget.
That was a funny day.
It was hilarious. I'd love to have it again.
It was so cold today.
Go ahead. Go to Buffalo.
It's really funny. Like, a couple years ago,
we here.
People saying like, hey, the matchup between the Chiefs and the Bengals, like, I don't think that's a team that the Chiefs will want to see. twice. You don't even know you did. You beat them the second time around, but I get it back then. This year, like, who's afraid of y'all? Your defense is Swiss cheese. Yes,
Swiss
I
cheese.
understand. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, all due respect, guys been balling this year. Like both of them guys, been on a whole nother world. But when they came in the Arrowhead this year,
It ain't look the same.
it ain't look like that.
It ain't look like that.
I think we've probably been the only team that you went up against that it didn't look like that. So, nobody's scared of y'all, bro. I'm sorry. Like I had to bring the Bengals, Bungles, rule the jungle, whatever y'all want to call yourselves,
Rule the bungles.
to reality. You know, Sunday, like I said, I hope that for your sake, you know, I hope Carson Wentz goes out there and throws about 50 million interceptions and tanks your season again because we've already put you to rest once. Okay, so enjoy the couch.
I actually disagree from this perspective. I said this back in 2022 as well. Go ahead, do it. I hope we beat the Broncos because I hate the freaking Broncos. I hope we go out and beat the Broncos with our backups. I hope the Bengals make the playoffs because the Dolphins lose. I hope they make the playoffs. I hope they go to Buffalo and beat Josh Allen. Go ahead because I'm sick and tired of the Josh Allen talk too. Go ahead and do it. I don't care. Go do it. I don't care. I hope y'all come here.
I think they
in the
could.
divisional round of the playoffs.
We gonna beat y'all ass.
I'll be happy to end your season. More than anything, I would be ecstatic to end your season en route to another ring. The last time y'all went here, this is what happened.
Seven get the ball, get to him. That's Tyreek for him.
That's Tyreek to him.
That's Tyreek for him.
They're going to 11.
He going to 11.
Bring him on.
Sayonara.
They gave you life.
Either way it goes. You're packing your bags.
You're going home.
If nobody else want to do it, we'll do it. You need
Go
something
to
done
Cabo.
properly, do it yourself. We'll put you
Go
in
to
the
Bora
ground.
Bora.
You need a
Turks and
savior.
Caicos, wherever you want to go.
You need a savior.
We will
You're
have
gonna save
you.
And it ain't
Promise
cheap.
you that. All right, moving on to the power rankings. So I mean, nothing really changes from this perspective.
Vikings
Bills
got
took
to
care
win
of
the
business.
weekend.
Eagles took care of business. We took care of business. Lions took care of business Monday night, even though they didn't, or last night I should say, even though they didn't need to take care of business because the Vikings and Lions will be playing for the NFC North, which will be extremely fun to watch. Ravens, they handled what they needed to as well versus the Texans on Christmas. It was an absolute beat down as far as that was concerned. The Vikings obviously will move up past the Packers from that perspective, which they deserve to. They beat them once again. Steelers lost to us, so they're not going to jump the Packers. I don't think so. Chargers and Commanders. Commanders beat the Falcons, which was cool, I suppose. The Chargers also. The Chargers handle business. I think they won, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they stomped a mud hole.
Yeah, they destroyed them on Saturday. Oh my God, it was 40-7. I forgot.
It was not close. It was not.
No, it was not.
Lad McConkey was open 24/7.
He did whatever he wanted to do.
He got whatever he wanted to. So are we inclined to move the Chargers or Commanders ahead of the Packers or Steelers? I think I could be talking the Chargers over the Steelers right now.
Yeah, they've been playing a lot better down the stretch.
I'll keep the Packers where they at. I'm low key. May put the Commanders over the Steelers. Low key.
I ain't gonna lie. If I'm a Steelers fan, I'm worried, bro. Like
Not the way they are.
that team has not looked good. What the last 3 or 4 weeks, whatever.
Steelers fans want to get rid of Russell Wilson and go back to Justin Fields.
Life comes at you fast.
Yeah, definitely does.
They said Russ was the answer when Justin got benched. Now you want to go back, right back to him.
Sure did. They sure did. I'm fine with the Commanders over. Are we Rams over Steelers? They played a bad game versus the Cardinals. I don't care. Obviously, they clinched the division. They played a bad game versus the Cardinals. So I'm not inclined
it was ugly.
The Steelers person.
They haven't looked that great either. These last
ugly football win. Yeah.
Okay, so the other team, and I think the last thing that we can talk about, Buccaneers, absolutely destroyed the Panthers at home. Panthers have been playing better recently. Are we feeling like putting them over the Steelers as they're in the driving seat for that NFC South
Bucks have
title?
been hot, man. Bucks have been hot. They did have that bad loss in Dallas, but definitely bounced back this week. Went out there and took care of business.
Locking up
Beat
the
a really
NFC
bad
South.
team.
One step.
Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield. That connection is back again.
Most improved would be Baker Mayfield, either him or Sam Darnold, either one. If we were giving out a most improved award this year, both of them have gotten lights out better this year for me.
Yeah. And shout out to Baker, man. He kept
Shout
them
out Baker,
afloat.
bro. He been
Both
hooping.
When they
his
had
Without
wide
receivers
Chris
receivers
Godwin,
were
without
out,
Mike Evans, he been hooping
absolutely.
this year.
He did a really good job at keeping them pulled, keeping things moving. So absolutely, shout out to Baker Mayfield from that perspective. So are we putting the Bucks over the Steelers?
I'm fine with that.
The way
Steelers
they playing,
they've not looked good. These
Steelers
last
not
two.
looking good, bro.
Okay.
They giving
I'll
up
go with
points.
that.
They not scoring. It's not looking too hot.
Let's give them a little bit of a shakeup from that perspective. So Bills, Eagles, Chiefs stay as the top three. Lions at 4, Ravens at 5, Vikings at gold star again for handling the Packers, who stay at 7 or move back to 7, I should say. Swap the Vikings. Chargers move up to 8. Commanders up to 9. The Buccaneers get onto the list at 10, knocking the Steelers clean off the list as well. Broncos lost to the Bengals, so I think that's fair. I don't think we need to do anything from that perspective as well. So that's the power rankings from that perspective. And again, we'll kind of have something to change as far as when we get into the playoffs. And obviously, we'll have a more in-depth reviews as well. So as it is New Year's Eve, I did just want to end off the show as far as New Year's resolutions. This could be any type of resolution. I was just going to say as it pertains particularly to Chief, and I'll kind of start out. Leave Brett Veach alone. This is my New Year's resolution to the Chiefs. Leave Brett Veach alone. Let that man do his job. You freaking idiots. Let that
Twitter's
man do
not
his
fun
job.
without the Twitter GMs, DMac.
Let that man do his job. That's all I have to say. You guys go ahead.
Oh, he's great at his job. They just love to talk. It's not fun unless they talk. It's not fun that way. So, think to leave in 2024. Oof.
Worrying about how this team is gonna perform, man. Just
I hate to be that guy. Like, I don't like to be the did you play ball guy. Stop being mad at players or being mad at coaches without a logical explanation. I don't want to say you have to know everything about the game to talk about the game, because that's not fair. Because most people, they love to watch, they just don't have knowledge of it. But if you are going to have a strong opinion, like DMac just stated, you're so strongly willed about what a GM is or isn't doing, about how a good player is or isn't that said player, or a coach's decision making. Give me a logical reason what they should do to correct that mistake. Don't just go on Twitter and be like, fire this person, get rid of this player, and then you don't have a reason or even a correction. How are you going to fill that hole once that player or coach is gone? So what is your solution? If you're going to have a complaint, follow it with a logical resolution. That's my only thing I have. I'm tired of people complaining and not having logical responses back to that complaint. That's my only thing.
yeah, man. Stop asking for blowouts, man. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is just like a really, really highly, extremely competitive league. These are the best of the best players. I don't care what the record is for the other teams. On the other side, the guys are professionals. They made it this far as well too. So they're the best of the best for where they're from. Oh, asking for a blowout or a dominating win, it just doesn't. It rarely comes in this league. And when you get to this part of the season, January,
Ain't no blowouts.
do you care?
Nope.
Do you care if you win 3-0 or 1-0? Do you care? Do you really care when it gets to the playoffs? Like, yeah, all that matters is you winning.
The only thing that matters right here.
And advancing. So, yeah, we got to leave.
Let's be more knowledgeable as fans.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we do this breakdown every week. I want our fan base. I know there's a lot of us growing. There's the original ones, and then we have people who jumped over as bandwagons. I get it. Let's just be more knowledgeable as fans to have more football conversations. Less trolling, less joking. Let's have real football talks like we're having.
And it's okay if you talk to amongst us or whatever and say like, hey, I don't know something. Can you explain it to me, or can you give me your perspective?
Absolutely.
Or like,
my DM is always open. Whoever want to talk football.
Right. Look, we do this all the time or whatever. Film is right there. You can literally watch it and learn for yourself if you would like to. I know it's boring to some people or whatever. Of course, me, in my opinion, I'm a fanatic or whatever, just a nerd, a sports nerd like that or whatever. I like to know what's going on. If you watch at least a good 15 minutes of film after every game, I swear you'll learn way more than you probably know at
You
this
learn
point.
more watching film than you will just listening to the radio, people's reactions. People are
Yes.
emotional. They want clickbait. They want people to be overly sensitive to whether it was good or bad, how it was. But watching the film, to DG's point, will give you much more clarity about what's actually happening in the game. There's 80 plus plays in a football game. You're not going to remember every single one of them. You don't know what everyone's job was. But when you watch the film, then you can figure out what actually happened in that set play.
Yes. That's it.
That's all I ask.
Great resolution.
And know you're spoiled. You're a
Oh,
spoiled
definitely.
fan base, Chiefs
Definitely.
Kingdom. You're very, very spoiled.
Perspective
And
is
it's okay.
everything. Perspective is everything.
Yeah, I feel spoiled too. Like I said, I'm enjoying the golden age. These won't be around forever.
Andy Reid pull up in
Forever.
2013, bro. It's 2024. Think back to where we were at before he pulled up.
Bask in the
changed.
ambience. You know, the ambience of greatness right now. Live
Be
it.
appreciative. Be
Be
thankful.
appreciative. Yeah.
Be appreciative because you could be at home rooting for the team that you are obsessed with and hate to death that keeps ending your season to win a game on Sunday.
You know
their
what I
back up.
did late last night? I went to a Carolina Panthers space. Oh boy.
Boy, oh boy.
Oh boy.
Talk about perspective.
Let me tell you, depressing times over there in Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, it could be them. Yeah,
every once in a while.
Yeah,
every once in a while. Every once in a while, shout out to Petey, who's a guy we talked about on Spaces before the Jets game last week. Every once in a while, I go in there during the mornings. I'm just like, it could be
depression.
Depression. And I listen to a lot of New York sports radio too. Could be worse.
Depression.
Promise y'all. Could be bad. Could be really
Could be
bad.
It could be a lot worse.
Just
bro.
every once in a while, man. Just tune into something from a different place. That
Look
isn't
at other
because
teams'
the Chiefs, and you
perspective,
be
bro.
like, wow.
I went in
Telling
there
you, bro.
last night. I was like, I am glad I'm not a Panthers fan.
Folks don't believe in their coach. They don't believe in their GM.
They don't
ain't
believe
got
in
no
nothing.
elite players. They ain't got no Chris Joneses. They ain't got no Travis Kelce's. They damn sure ain't got no Patrick Mahomes because only one of them in the league, and he's the best quarterback in the National Football League. I don't give a fuck what none of that. What y'all say? And they ain't got no Creed Humphreys. They ain't got no Trey Smiths. They got no Nick Boltons. No Charles Hughes. Definitely no Trent McDuffies. They ain't got none of that. They out there just raw dogging life and losing.
The way
That's what
y'all
they
see
got.
fans look at us and the way we act, I'm like, bro, we are the definition of insanity. Like, it's insanely spoiled and entitled how this fan base is. Y'all have to think about how bad we were before Andy Reid got here, before he pulled up. We was convincing ourselves that Matt Castle was the solution. We believed it. I know y'all did because I did.
I
too.
asked for
And
a
I
Matt
discussed
Castle
myself
jersey for
frequently.
Christmas and was happy when I got it.
Man, in the show, I'm getting bad memories now, man. I'm getting
We
bad.
done came a long way, man.
Yeah,
we got a
we
lot
came a
more.
long way, bro.
We
I
done
don't
came a
want to think
long way,
about it.
bro.
We done came a long way.
Perspective is
baby.
everything, man.
We
Perspective.
got champagne
Think.
problems, and I love to see it, dog.
Think about the
All right.
times before, bro. Just think.
It could be much worse. Could be much worse. Absolutely. So once again, I hope everybody has a safe holiday. Again, it's enjoy
Heavy
the
on the
holidays.
safe.
for
Please be
Chris
safe.
is on here.
Brady
Yes, please
quit.
be safe
No
tonight.
drinking and
if you're
driving,
going.
please.
Yes, go out. Uber is a great service. Lyft, if you
Lyft,
prefer it as
call
well.
me. I'll come get you.
You know, carpool. You know, designated drivers. However you need to go out. Have a safe, a great New Year's for you guys. Go ahead, DG.
Yeah, if you're in KC, man, please be safe, bro.
Please be safe.
Get a ride, bro.
Very, not even that. It's a very dangerous night.
A lot of things happen tonight, bro.
If you live in some of the areas that I live in,
You know,
get to the store early, get home.
get home and stay home.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
So,
my only advice for tonight.
and enjoy another week of stress-free football as you will have coming up in week 18 and then the wild card week that we will talk to you guys once again next week before that happens as well. Do be on the lookout for Kingdom Cast. I think they'll probably end up having a show on Thursday as well.
Underdog.
Yes.
Shout out Underdog.
Shout out to
Sorry about that.
shout
No,
out
I was going to go
This
through
show
all
is
the-
brought to you
you
by
gotta
Underdog.
thank the sponsors, man.
Yes.
Thank the sponsors. Shout out to Underdog, man. Underdog is the easiest daily fantasy sports app you can find, man. We all three been on there making some cash.
Mhm.
You know, as y'all know, we've recently, tied the deal, the contract with the guys over there at Underdog. So we're appreciative of them. Promo codes Kingdom Cast, all caps, promo code Truth3, all caps. Go sign up with one of our links. You can find the link on my page, DMac's page, CJ's. Sign up, man, especially this weekend. A lot of games, a lot of bowl games come up, college football playoffs. NBA is going strong, so Underdog is the easiest place, man, to play pick 'em on and make some cash, some New
And if
Year's.
you don't know what to pick, where should they go find their picks at, DG?
Bet the House discourse, man. Come over and join us. Had a great night last night, man. Monday Night Football was very successful. Shout out to the Lions and the 49ers, man. Made a lot of money over there. We don't gatekeep our plays. So man, we're just a community over there of people that just like to bet or whatever. It's just to throw ideas off of or anything. It's free, man. Just come over, hang out, chill with us, and let's try to make some money.
Get this money, you dig? If you need an invite to the Discord, DM me, DMac or DG, any of the fellas that's all with us on Twitter. Hell, any of us, we'll definitely add you. A lot of cash to be made this weekend. So let's get to it for sure.
Absolutely. Love to see it. I'll have a scheming coming out about the wide receivers, and what we're going to see going into the playoffs as well. So be on the lookout for that. Looking forward to it. Again, and we're going to have to figure out something interesting for the trifecta this week. We got to be creative. We're going to have to work.
Ooh.
You can take Carson Wentz on Underdog for half a yard,
3 yard.
a free yard.
That's all it is.
That's all you need to do. Whether he runs it, throws it, hell, he can punt it. I don't give a damn. You can bet Carson Wentz for half a yard. It's right there. Go to Underdog.
There you go. Right there. But yeah, appreciate you guys. And look, we've had a lot of growth here at Tell the Truth here in 2024. A lot of blessings from that perspective. And Kingdom Cast in general, certainly. So I know I speak for DG and CJ when I say this. We appreciate everybody that's tuned in for this year. We got a lot of big things coming for next year and look forward to continuing on and hoping to help some people out and enjoy watching the Chiefs with you guys as well. So thank you. Nothing left to be said, but the Chiefs will wrapped up the 1 seed and they're marching their way. They're 3 wins from immortality and another 3-peat as well. So shout out to the Chiefs, man. Peace out. Hope everybody enjoyed. Safe holiday.
Cheers.